Okay, for the adolescent reading interview, I interviewed three students. They were all female students. There was Emma, and she was 13, Haley, and she was 15, and then Jade, and she was 13 years old. They all considered themselves to be good readers. They said they read a lot. They read all the time whenever they get the chance, and it's always came easy to them. I thought that was interesting because if reading is easy to you, you're going to be more interested in it and you're going to want to read. Rather, if reading is difficult for you, you're not gonna enjoy it as much and you're not gonna wanna read, and so you want to have the views as these three girls that I interviewed because reading just came easy to them. They picked it up. They have always been a fast reader and understood what they're reading, so they've always really enjoyed it and read for fun actually too. Because I noticed a lot of students don't read for fun anymore. They don't read for enjoyment. They read what they're assigned and that's it. I know I was like that. I've always been a good reader, and but I never I never read. I read what I'm assigned and that's about it. So this course was nice so that I could pick up some good books again and get reading. Um, the girls all contribute their ability to read from learning in school. They all had positive memories and positive things to say about school and learning to read in school. And they mentioned memories of the teacher doing read alouds to the class and just a lot of positive memories about school. Emma, she mentioned how her grandma worked with her outside of school and she read to her a lot. So that was a positive memory she had that was outside of school. And Haley mentioned that she always had a book in her hand no matter what. She just loved reading and loved books. And she said she feels like she kind of helped teach herself because she always had a book in her hand and she was always practicing and working. And so she goes, she almost feels like she taught herself in a way. It wasn't just school where they learned to read. The girls all mentioned that they had outside of school there was fond memories of reading. Emma, she mentioned about her grandma reading with her outside of school. She said her grandma loves to read too, and they would always read together. That was a special memory that they had together. And um, they also mentioned memories of reading with a parent, and they read to them daily. I found this interesting when they mentioned, one mentioned a grandma, one mentioned a mom. It was always a female person that that was reading to them and doing, um, that was working with them on reading skills. I thought that was interesting. I know that's true for my case. My mom was always the one that read to us, and she read to us every night. My dad didn't get really into that, and I feel like males don't really do. It's fantastic if they do, but I hear mostly of like the female person reading with a child and reading, like in this case, it was grandma and mom that they had memories reading with them. So that was interesting. Let's see here. Why people read. Two of the girls mentioned that people read for knowledge. If you want to learn new things, you've got to read and educate yourself about them. And then Emma, hers was really interesting. She said that sometimes people read to live in a different world for a little while. I thought that was so interesting because we just learned about dystopian literature, and that falls right into dystopian literature. And she was actually the one that mentioned that dystopian literature is like her favorite. So I thought that was really interesting. And according to the text, when regarding to the genres of science fiction, fantasy, horror, dystopian literature, our text says perhaps they provide an escape from the difficulties of life, or they allow young adults to enjoy vicarious experiences and investigate worlds where the impossible becomes possible and where technology makes dreams come true. So, dystopian literature and all these, they just provide an escape for students to, you know, go and do something that they enjoy and go to another world where their imagination runs wild and their creativity just flows. And Emma mentioned this perfectly. Some people do, and this is why she likes reading too, just to take her in a different world for a little bit and escape a little bit. So I thought that was really, really interesting that she mentioned that. All the girls mentioned that to be a good reader, you have to read often. They said practice, practice, practice. Emma said something. She says it best when keep reading and don't stop. You can't. If you want to be a good reader, just with anything, you need to practice, you need to work hard. And that's the same thing for reading. And each of the girls read almost daily because they enjoy reading a novel of their choice. Um, it they the reading that they do in school, I mean, they love reading, so they'll read it, but it's not what they enjoy. So when they can pick their own novels and what they read, that's what they really love and they get into. So it's all about choice. And in one of the articles about remixing literature, one factor that does seem to drive all students reading is that they are much more interested and engaged when they are involved in selecting the text as well as the medium for accessing it. So it's really huge to have student choice. Students want to be heard and want their input into things. So allowing students to choose what they read. That's why these girls are so into reading. And they read so often because they're picking a book of their choice. They're picking something they're interested in and what they really want to read. So I feel like that's important to student choice in a way to remix literature like we learned about in the article. It's huge to incorporate the old with the new and remix it so students are interested in, they're more motivated to read outside of school as well, because I feel that's so important to create lifelong learners. So giving them that choice to do that. Two of the girls said that they would much rather read than have someone else read. They would rather read independently to themselves than have somebody else read to them. They said that when they read by themselves, they can pay attention better and they don't lose track when they read by themselves. They can concentrate and they can pay attention better to what they're doing. But Haley, she was the only one, and she said that she would rather have the teacher read it because it helps her understand the story more. And I thought this was interesting because I know for myself, I personally need to read. I just understand it better when I read, and I can take my time and I can look back and I can do those sort of things, so it makes me understand it better. But with Haley, she said she'd rather have the teacher read it because she said all of her experiences of the teacher reading it have been really good experiences. She said the teachers read with expression and they're just really good readers. So she said it makes her really interested and really engaged, and she really focuses in, and she said it's the way they read that makes her understand the story better. And I thought that was wonderful that the teachers that she had were such wonderful readers that it really engaged her and it really helped her understand the story. So I felt like that was interesting because for myself, and I know for others, we rather read on our own, but I'm glad for those students that need to have somebody else read it. There's teachers that are doing awesome read alouds, and so that students are getting what they need from the story. So I thought that was really great. Some of their favorite genres were mystery, drama, humor, fantasy, teen fiction, and dystopian. And to go off dystopian again, according to the article about the dystopian literature, dystopian narratives play well to teenage audiences because they serve as powerful metaphors for their current developmental stage. And to go back with the girls really enjoyed this genre. Like they said, takes you to a different world for a little bit, and that's why they find so much enjoyment in it, which is great. When talking about their best quality with reading, two of the girls mentioned that their best quality is their comprehension. They feel they always seem to understand what they're reading, and I thought that was great. That's what I told them. That's awesome that you always comprehend what you're reading, 'cause that's huge. And I feel like that goes back on they seem to understand what they're because they're really good. They're good readers, and reading comes easy to them. So since reading comes easy to them, they can spend more time comprehending it and getting into the story. Whereas if reading is difficult for you, you're spending so much time trying to decode the words and grasp the text that you're not even comprehending the story. So I felt like that's awesome that their comprehension is high and they feel like they can always understand what the story's about. And now to males versus females. I thought this was interesting, and I was interested to hear their answers to this question. Jade, she felt that neither are better than each other. Not one is better than the other. She said, both females and males can struggle with reading. It doesn't really matter if you're a male or female, you can both struggle. Emma said she feels that both females and males read equally well, and she told me it depends on their schooling and not their gender. She said gender has nothing to do with it. It depends on their schooling and how they were taught to read. And then Haley was the only one. She feels that females are better readers because they pay more attention and take their time when reading. She said females just seem to go slower and really take their time and pay attention to those details, where males, she feels, just fly through it and get it done because they don't really enjoy reading, she said. So she felt females were better, and I thought that was interesting. Now to talk about the movie version. The girls all love watching movies, and they watch movies often. They enjoy watching movies that are comedy, horror, sci-fi, and they all said action movies. Emma said she likes watching movies that are based off of a book that she really liked, and she actually mentioned the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. She's read all those books and loved them. She's reread those books because she just loves them so much, and she's also watched the movies too. Um, Two of the girls said that they read the book first because it helps them understand. It gives them the backstory, and they like to know what's going on before they jump into the movie, so they said that's why they always choose to read the book first, so that they can understand what's happening, and then they go to the movie. So I thought that was interesting, because in one of our discussions it was mentioned that it was with the Percy Jackson movie. Some students might, if they don't really care for reading, but are interested into that genre of things, maybe have them watch the movie first, and if they really enjoy the movie, then kind of get them interested in reading the book if they really like the movie. So there's different ways to look at it, but these two girls felt that reading the book first gave them better insight and understanding before they went to the movie, which I thought that was interesting. Um, and here's my work cited from my articles and texts and all of my students.